I'm Holly Constant.
And I'm Maddie Hockaday. We really love Parks and Rec, and we really love behind-the-scenes details.
So we're researching everything from DVD extras like deleted scenes and commentaries,
plus interviewing cast and crew who actually worked on the show.
We also bring on guests and friends to geek out about everything parks.
So join us, you tropical fish.
This is literally the best Parks and Rec rewatch podcast.
We're your park pals.
There's a park and some pals, and there's also therapy too.
All right, well, we're at Season 5, Episode 8, Pawnee Commons, which is so exciting because we're finally getting back to the park. Oh my God.
Where it all began, right?
I know. That's kind of what I was talking about last week with the Leslie versus April thing. I think from a writing standpoint, it's so nice to bring back the park because we've been so consumed with city council and DC and just all these different things. And it's really nice to kind of get back to basics and see this happen for real, you know?
Yeah, I think if they hadn't ever brought the park back, I think the audience would have felt like slighted.
Yeah.
You know,
it would have been
we're
a little
all emotionally invested in this for Leslie
totally.
now.
Yeah. Quick thing, I did watch all the bonus features on the DVDs for the first couple episodes, and I feel like I didn't say this. I don't think I did. Maybe I did, but this was back in our first episode, like very first episode of Season 5. There are webisodes of Andy discovering, quote, all the mysteries of DC when they're in DC for the first episode. Like, remember when he takes National Treasure, the movie, like very seriously or whatever? Like, they create whole webisodes around that. And by webisodes, I mean like 4 to 5 minute episodes. And I think they were like, I don't know, 3 to 5 minutes long or something like that. But there was this one in particular where he really wants a tour of the FBI building, but they don't do tours of the FBI building. And so his plan is to get arrested, and then they'll take him in, and then he'll go to the interrogation rooms and just be able to, you know, actually see the space. But his way to get arrested is to jaywalk in front of the FBI building. It's just like, oh my God, that's not gonna work.
No,
but it's just so cute and funny. And I mean, in those webisodes, and I guess in general for that episode, but in particular these episodes, they're really just like in front of all of these monuments and the Capitol and in front of the FBI building. They're just like randomly on the street, and I'm just curious if like anyone walked by and was like, oh my God, it's, you know, Andy Dwyer, if anyone really knew the show at the time or what was going on, because obviously Pratt wasn't Pratt until Marvel, I guess. Well, for some people. For us, he was more important before that. But I don't know. I just thought that was really interesting.
5 seasons in.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I mean, the people that were in that episode that were from DC, because, you know, they casted DC locals for some of those guest star spots, knew the show. So I was just curious if anybody was like, oh my God, because DC is a city, obviously. And if I saw somebody like on the streets of Nashville, like filming something and whatever, which is not uncommon, you know, you could be like, oh my God. So anyway, that was just a thought I had.
That's cool.
Another part of the bonus features were promos, which is so wild. I feel like the last couple of episodes have been so time capsule-y, with last episode talking about Joe Biden winning the election and her wanting to be in the White House by 2020 when Joe Biden won that year and all these things. Or 2024 rather. No, that's now. Sorry.
You're right.
You know what I mean. 2020. He's president currently is what I meant to say. Anyways, but so there is a time capsule moment again in these promos because the Olympics were happening at this time, and there was a promo where Tom and Ron wrestle, and they're in like full on wrestling like outfits, and it's so funny and cute because, and well, by cute I just mean Ron is literally like the bottom guy, and Tom is just like flopping all around him trying to get him to like be, you know, taken off his knees or off his feet or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, this is freaking hilarious.
Oh my gosh. It's amazing.
So that's that one. And then the last thing I'll say is that there were also promos for, and I think because it was NBC and The Voice was like so prominent at this time, I think we talked about this last season too, but there was a promo for The Voice for this one. I think last season it was, what's his name? Gnarls Barkley? No. What does he call himself? CeeLo Green, but like he called himself something else, I think. Like playing off of Charles Barkley. But anyways, whatever. It was him, and then I think that maybe that was the album name or something. Regardless, now they have one with Usher, and I think we did talk about this, but Usher was a voice on The Voice, you know what I mean? A judge on The Voice or whatever.
Yeah.
And I did record some of it because I thought it was really funny and cute because they're so obsessed with Usher. And I'm just going to play it for you and see like if you can tell. And then I took some pictures too because it's just really funny.
Okay.
Oh my God, Usher, what are you doing in the Parks Department? Can I call you Usher? What about Ursher? What about Ush?
Usher's fine.
You got a U-turn.
Okay, so we know that you're new to coaching on The Voice, but the key is the spinning chair. When it turns around, you have to make sure you have a look.
Why don't you show me what you got?
They
A
actually have
smile
a chair
is
there.
literally the best way to convey happiness.
That's good. I like that.
Oh, your smile's way better. I have nothing that I can teach you.
How did I get in this chair?
Let's not worry about the how. Let's focus on what's next. I'm Donna.
Oh. I'm sorry. Why am I apologizing to her?
She has that effect.
What are you doing?
That's April.
I'm like an explorer, like from the 18th century. Land ahoy!
And it goes on further than that, but I just thought that was a nice little mix. I have
my
to show
gosh.
you the Donna one, though.
Yes,
He
please
was like,
do.
how did I get here?
Oh my gosh. I love
He's
it so
literally
much.
sitting in her lap. For those of you that won't see this on Instagram or whatever, I'll post it on Instagram. And he's just like, what is happening? And
I love
then
it.
when Andy says, I'm like an explorer or whatever, he's literally standing on the chair, the voice chair.
That's exactly what I imagined when he said
Yeah.
I'm an explorer. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they're like, be careful because that turns, you're going to fall. And then lo and behold, obviously he falls.
Yeah.
And it's just really hilarious to me. There's a couple more pictures that I took later on. Oh, here's the picture of the wrestling. Oh my God, I didn't realize I took a picture of that.
Yes.
And yeah, you can see Tom is just like flopping all around, and Ron literally stays in that position the entire time, and
That's
everybody's just
amazing.
watching them.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I have some more pictures and things to show you later on, but I just wanted to share those because those are just really fun to me.
Yes. Oh, that's so cute. I love the voice, the coordination with the voice. It's cool.
I know, and they bring the chair in every time for those promos, so I think that's really funny. I don't think they do fun stuff like that anymore. I mean, maybe they do. I don't watch network TV as much as I used to, but I don't think they do those kinds of promos. But maybe they do. Maybe I'm just missing it. I don't know.
Yeah. That's possible. Yeah, like you. I hardly ever watch network TV anymore.
Yeah. So, anyways, okay, well, now we're finally in season 5, episode 8, Pawnee Commons. This was written by Alexandra Rushfield, who was a new writer for Parks, but she was also a producer on Parks for seasons 5 and 6, and she'll come back next season to write for the Correspondence Lunch. And she's also worked on Love, the TV show Love, which we talked about last week because the business show that asks Ben to be a political correspondent, who Tom is trying to get, like, be a business profile or whatever. That guy wrote and starred in Love, the TV show. So there's some crossover there. She also worked on a show called Unstable, which is actually a Netflix show with Rob Lowe, which it's recent. It's like this year, I think. I have not heard of it, nor have I watched it yet. So
What'd you say it's called?
Unstable.
Yeah, I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, it's him and this other guy in the poster. So I didn't look up what it was about, but it is Rob Lowe. So, she also wrote on Friends from College, which, oh my God, if you guys haven't watched that show, it's so, so good. Keegan, is on it, and, a couple people that cast is so good, and it's just so fun. I think that's on Netflix too. I randomly watched it. I just was looking for something to watch. This was a long time ago, and I saw that cast, and I was like, oh my God, what is this? And it's really good. So, and then she also wrote on What I Like About You, a ton of other things, but those were kind of the ones that I thought were really interesting for this crossover. So that's Alexandra Rushfield, the writer. And then this was directed by Morgan Sackett, who we've talked about many a time. He's also a producer on Parks, huge part of Brooklyn Nine-Nine and why that whole show started. Hacks, which, oh my gosh, congratulations on all the Emmys. Hacks is so good. If you haven't watched it, it's a lot of the same Parks people, comedy people. It's so, so good. It's on Max. And then she also Morgan Saget did Veep, The Good Place, all the Mike Schur shows. So we're very familiar with him. But yeah, so it looks like we've got a nice team coming together for this one.
Yeah. I mean, and it shows, right?
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm ready for a summary whenever you are.
Perfect. Okay. Leslie seeks outside designs for her dream park and is upset to find that the best option is from an Eagletonian. Andy tries his hand at being a security guard with the help of April. The rest of the park's gang donate their time to Tom and his new business.
Yay. You know, I totally forgot. I can't remember where I saw this. Maybe it was just the IMDb trivia or whatever the hell, but I forgot that Mark gave her plans for the park. I totally forgot that.
Yeah.
Because I always think about Mark's like legacy, but I think of the way they left him in the show was that picture that Ron has in his office for when they were trying to win that like competition
with the park
thing.
bench.
Yeah. And so I totally forgot because she says that at one point. She's like, we have no plans. We have nothing. And they do, technically, even though I know it's not the same for Leslie because I think Mark probably had a little bit more like straightforward plans, but still.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah, you have a starting
Anyway.
spot, at least.
Yeah. Right. So funny. Okay. Well, we're back on Pawnee Public Access Radio, which is so lovely. Friendly reminder, the host is Dan Castellaneta, who plays Homer Simpson on The Simpsons, among so many other voices in that show and 800 other things. Thought for your thoughts.
I can't.
It's so good.
This whole radio show is just bananas to me.
It's
that
so
it
beautiful.
exists.
I do want to point out, I think we saw him a while ago. This is the producer who introduces them in is named Nick Toth. The actor is his name. And I feel like he wasn't listed in the last episode or something because I feel like I would have reached out to him. He was in Born and Raised when she was promoting her book. But anyway, he's been in a lot of things too. There's a show called Sherman Oaks that he was a really big part of. That show Mom with Chris Pratt's ex-wife, actually. What's her name?
Anna Faris.
Anna Faris. Desperate Housewives, and both him, obviously, and Dan Castellaneta have such perfect voices for this, and they both do voiceover work, so it was so well casted and just really great. I reached out to his agents, and it was kind of last minute, to be honest, like, as far as when I got around to reviewing the episode, so I'm gonna reach back out to them, because I would love to hear from him and see what that audition was like, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Also, I'd really love to see the opera about pear-shaped women. He says
It's
that's one
so specific, and I want to know what even compromises that.
Yeah. Oh my God. And Leslie is there to promote that they're, trying to build the park and they want input on the design. And I love that, actually. I love that she's reaching out to the community to ask how the community wants this design. I think that's lovely.
Yeah, I don't think she had to do that.
No,
It's really
I don't
cool.
think so either.
Yeah. He also puts a very heavy emphasis on woman, council woman.
Oh.
And at first I was
didn't
like,
even think about it.
Yeah, at first I was like, that's kind of cool because he's making sure to emphasize like this is a woman in this position of power, and then he says it later with man, the Batman. So I'm like, oh, you just do that, okay?
That's
it's just part of your character.
Moments.
Yeah,
yeah. Which I love. He has to explain what the Batman is.
Yeah,
who fights crime nocturnally.
Yeah. Well, you think about who's listening to this. Maybe they don't know who the Batman is. The Batman.
Maybe. I feel like it'd be the opposite. Like us nerds know what that is. Oh my God.
Yeah,
hilarious.
You're right.
But honestly, who knows? He's just trying to be inclusive.
Yeah, I love it. I love that this is in total Leslie fashion, right?
Uh-huh.
She makes a comment that, your segment last week on dolphin lactation was just riveting radio. Like she did her homework, right? She listened in to be able to make a comment and make them feel, listened to. So
dolphin lactation. Oh my gosh.
Gross.
Amazing. Which is, I think, such a beautiful commentary on some of the things that NPR/public radio has on their shows sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah. And nowadays it's kind of interesting because I feel like a lot of NPR people or shows have podcasts now, like so that you can listen to it when it's not quite on the air, which is really nice for everybody. But yeah, there's a game show too that a lot of people like, and you can go live. You can watch it live too, and when they air it, I can't remember what it's called, but I'm sure some of our listeners would probably know what I'm talking
NPR
about,
has
but
a game show?
yeah,
What?
it's like a oh my god, what is it? It's like you know that like academia game show thing that they used to have on Saturdays? No, maybe not because you were in China.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Unfortunately,
But
I
anyways, they
didn't get
have
access.
yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but it's really fun. It's really cool. It's like a trivia game and yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool.
I'll have to look up what that's called. But anyway, also in true Leslie fashion, she's calm and collected at first and saying, like, send in your resume, send your ideas quick because this is going to fall apart if you don't hurry.
Yeah.
They don't have much time. Okay.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of time. I love that she does bring that up. That's important.
Yeah, totally. And then, yeah, okay. Then we get to our favorite, I think, well, one of our favorite NPR moments, jazz plus jazz equals jazz. And this time, I don't know what it is, but this time when I was listening to it, I was like, honestly, this doesn't sound much different from like an upbeat jazz song. So whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Jazz is, yeah. It's that line that Angela has, and we can say this because we went to jazz school, basically.
Yeah.
When she's like, I hate jazz. Just play the right notes.
I know. Oh my God. It's so funny that both of these shows have jazz references.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
there's
hilarious.
carryover for sure.
Yeah.
Though if they have a feeling, if they have a stance on something, you typically see it both places.
Yeah. Agreed. Also, oh my gosh, there's a deleted scene and she is talking. This is another thing I took a picture of. I don't think I actually recorded it, or maybe I did. But either way, she says that she's going to get Woman of the Year. And oh my God, it's really hilarious. She has like a whole thing where she created the picture, like the cover photo for herself.
Oh
like
my
she
gosh.
made this.
That's amazing.
And then she opens it up, and I really wish they wouldn't have cut this part, but she opens it up and she like has literally written like an article for herself. And Joe Biden is in it, and it's like she has the picture of her and
I love it.
Ben. She's holding it up. Oh my God.
Oh.
Biden his time. VP clings to hope that nope says nope. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh, is
Classic
that in
Leslie
reference to her
headline.
saying no to Ben? So
No,
what is that?
maybe. I need to read it. I didn't. It's a little too blurry for me to actually get in there. But yeah, that's so hilarious. Oh my God. Probably. Maybe.
Love it.
But yeah. So I had to share that. And
Yeah.
again, I'll post all these pictures. This was a weird one. I feel like all the deleted scenes were like, I really need to show the visual for this.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So he says research shows that our listeners love jazz. Love that.
Yeah. Enough to put it on top of each other, though.
I guess so. They're just trying to pander to anyone they can.
Yeah.
Well, now Ben and Leslie are going over all the submissions for ideas for the park, and there's one from the federal penitentiary with gummy worms, which is scary.
Yeah. And he
How
says
did he
he's
send
not.
this?
Yeah. He says he's not guilty in the letter, and then the literal title of the park is "I'm guilty."
Right. I noticed that too. It's so funny. And then
boy.
Ben pulls out this submission that's beautiful, well thought out, perfect. It's like, first, Leslie loves it. There's great shrubbery. It's like so perfect to her. I will not change my mind, she says.
Yes.
But then, like you said in your summary, she finds out that this person who sent this in is from Eagleton, and she's like, oh, I've changed my mind.
Immediately. Yeah.
And we also, like, again, this is why this is a really nice episode, because this is bringing back the Eagleton rivalry that we also haven't heard from in a while. I think it's really fun that they're bringing that kind of back to basics as well, you know?
Yeah. That's crazy. And crazy to me, my brain just lost my train of thought.
Oh, no.
Sorry. Yes. Sorry. Here it is. Okay.
Okay.
That he has all these accolades, right? Like this guy. He went to the Royal Academy of Architecture or whatever, which why does Europe have to title everything the Royal? Okay. Anyway. But what brings him back to like Eagleton?
I mean, I think that is one of the first things also that we could talk about how much Leslie and him have in common. You
Yeah.
know, they're both from these smaller towns. Eagleton may be a little bit bigger, but like they've had experiences other places. And now I mean, Leslie not as much probably, but she does know. And she says, like, I know this isn't Paris. I know this isn't like the most beautiful place ever, but I choose to be here.
Right.
And I just think that's really beautiful too for both of them to kind of have that
Yeah.
background.
And I think because like we're talking about this clash between the Pawneeans and the Eagletonians, is he has this broader worldview of, and that's why he doesn't lean so heavily into the competition, right? Because there's no other Eagletonian that would have willingly given a good design to this idea. Like he's
true.
So it's an interesting dynamic that we're getting here from this rivalry.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, and then Ben says, you know, let's at least go meet the guy and see what he has to say. And Leslie kind of reluctantly agrees, and we're going to get to see that in a moment. But before that, go ahead.
Are you going to go on to the next scene?
Yeah.
Okay, because I want to comment that it never says that this isn't a work day. But you can tell.
It's Saturday.
Yeah, but you can tell, right, from their clothes. Like, I don't think you have to wait until you find out that Andy's, like, there's no one else in the building.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, like, they do a good job.
For sure.
Although Ben, I noted, I was like, Ben's wearing basically the same shit he would wear at work. But Leslie's, you know, in this, like, button-down flannel, like, looking thing and jeans. Like, I think the wardrobe did a good job being like, this is not a work day.
Right. Yeah, totally.
Because they don't say it, right? Or did I miss it?
No, they don't say it. They don't say it. The only reason I was confident about that is because there's a deleted scene, which I thought was really funny to bring up. Speaking of this, that he was like, it's. I think Leslie was saying like, it's so nice that we get to like be together like during the work time and on weekends. It's a Saturday, and Ben was like, I'd really love to go see a movie sometime. That might be nice on a Saturday. Not work for once. And then she was like saying it was kind of sad because she kind of like laughed at him and poked fun a little bit of like, oh, that's so funny, like what a waste of time, we wouldn't like that.
Oh, poor Ben.
I know.
Yeah, that reminds me too, like of when he has to set the boundaries of when we're not at work, we don't talk about work,
right?
You know, like when we're not at work, we're husband and wife, and this is how we live our life. Because she doesn't do so great with those boundaries.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, and you're right about the wardrobe. I feel like Ben usually is in like, I mean, he is usually in something similar, but he's mostly
have a
like
jacket
in ties too.
And ties,
or like slacks or something. So it's nice to see their like everyday clothes too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, now moving on to Rent a Swag. Are you good?
I am good.
Okay. Well, Tom is showing everyone where Rent a Swag is going to be. It's pretty gross and disgusting, but
it is pretty gross.
You know, it's awesome to see how it grows though, and like where it all started.
Well, and look at Tom. There's already so much growth. He knows why he chose the location, right? He has reasoning behind it. It's
Love
not
that.
a fucking huge warehouse that he's breaking the bank on, right? Like he was smart about this. We're already seeing a turnaround from Entertainment 720, and I'm really proud to see this.
Me too. Yeah, I wrote that too. I love that Tom is taking it so seriously. Like he's talking about the good foot traffic, no metered parking, good fiscal range. And Donna notes that's a good vocabulary term,
Yes.
good use of fiscal. Yeah, it's a total change from what we saw Tom with business Tom before, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Side note, I had to look up what cravats were because I did not know what cravats were.
I also don't know. What are they?
Well, they're neckties, like old English neckties. Like if you can imagine what they wore in Bridgerton. Like if you see, if you Google cravats, like obviously you'll see that. But yeah, they're like neckties, like kind of like a mix between a necktie and a bow tie. It's like these kind of wide ties, and that's what he was talking about. How he was like, so if you see a kid with a nice cravat or Louis Vuitton cravat or whatever, like just know you know who to thank.
Yeah,
me and Louis Vuitton.
For making dope ass cravats.
Right. And I don't know that now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know that I've ever seen him wear one, but he has them for whatever event.
It looks like he's probably bought some extra, unless he really is this as crazy as we think he is.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he's bought some inventory.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think of that. I don't know, honestly. Yeah. I don't know.
Because at the end, there's a lot of clothes in there.
Yeah. I mean, he did say he practically brought his whole house there, so it could be his.
True.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, great question. I'm sure they had to, like, well, maybe not in the lore of the show, but for them, like, in the, background, behind the scenes vibes, I'm sure they had to replenish what they would have assumed Tom has. Okay, well, now I'm at the park, the Eagleton Park, meeting the actual fella who did design this Eagleton Park. His name is Reston St. James, which I love that name.
Wonderful choice for an Eagletonian. The St. James is the cherry.
It's great.
Yeah.
Reston is spelled with a W, though, which I think is really hilarious to me because I feel like I've heard the name Reston, but I've never would have thought that it would be spelled with a W. But that just makes it even more, like, fancy or something.
Yeah, it does.
Like, unattainable, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love this park.
I know,
it's
so beautiful.
Green. Yeah, and living here in the desert, I'm starting to really miss the green. And so seeing all those trees, I'm like, it's so pretty. Yeah, it's great.
And that little lake and all those things.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get to the park, though, I do want to do a brief breakdown on Reston St. James, or the actor who plays him. He's played by Brad Hall is the actor's name. And I had no idea. I know most people know this, but I had no idea he was married to Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Did you know that?
No.
Oh my God, they've been married for a bajillion years.
That's amazing.
They had to, I don't know exactly where they met, but so part of my breakdown is that he is a huge writer from SNL back in, maybe the 70s or 80s. So I'm going to say that might be where they met on SNL.
Possibly, yeah.
I don't know, because I know that she hosted a couple times, but he's a writer, producer, actor, director as well. He's not as much of an actor as Julia is. He's primarily known for his writing and producing, I think, and maybe some directing. But he's a great actor. He did a great job, and he's been in a lot of Mike Schur stuff. Like a lot of the stuff I was looking at that he was acting in, like American Auto is pretty much from the same people. I don't know if it's Mike Schur particularly, but like it's in that same realm. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, of course, SNL, like tons of stuff. But yeah, him and Julia Louis-Dreyfus are like, oh my God, it's so beautiful.
That's so cool. I hope they met at SNL because I think Colin Jost and Scarlett Johansson also met there. And
did they?
I think so. When she came to host, and he's obviously he does Weekend Update and writes, but yeah, that's amazing.
It's so
I love
cute.
that. And 1987. Sorry, I just looked it up because I was like, I have to know. They've been married since 1987. That's, I mean, in Hollywood, that's fucking forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, good for them.
Okay, you guys, though, on the real, skip ahead 10 seconds if you need to, but Julia Louis-Dreyfus has an amazing podcast called Wiser Than Me. Did I talk about this ever?
No, not to me.
Oh, my God. Okay, Brooklyn and I are obsessed with it because the whole premise of it, and she talks about her husband on her podcast. She doesn't. I don't think she ever says Brad, but I just never thought to look up like, who she's married to. I don't know, whatever. Yeah. Anyway, the podcast though is called Wiser Than Me because the premise is that she's interviewing women that are older than her, and she's like, how can I get notes and like what do you wish that you'd known? Oh my God! And these interviews are incredible. The women that she gets are phenomenal, but it's also so interesting to hear everybody's perspective on like aging and how they're moving into their next phase of their life and all these things. Like she talks to Jane Fonda and Julie Andrews and just like so many incredible women. And she's always like these people. Oh, she talked to Bonnie Raitt. And she's just like so many wonderful people. And I think season 3 is coming out soon. But I mean, like I would highly recommend listening to that because it's just so beautiful. And then at the end, it's so cute. At the end, she talks. She calls her mom on Zoom and talks to her mom about the person she just interviewed, and it's so cute. It's amazing.
I love that.
So highly recommend to go listen to that. I'll post it in the show notes so that you guys remember. But
yeah, oh my gosh, I love Julia, but I mean, Julie Andrews is like,
it's so good.
Yeah, she's just got a spot in my heart forever.
Oh my God, and she also talks to Carol Burnett, which was one of my favorite episodes.
Oh, awesome.
It's so good. And I mean, I don't know if most people know this, but Carol Burnett, I feel like, is one of the reasons why like I'm an actor currently. Like, Once Upon a Mattress was my first ever musical that I
Oh,
did.
nice.
And Carol Burnett obviously has played like every single role in that show, both on Broadway and in TV film. And once I started doing my deep dives, I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So anyways, and even Julie Louis-Dreyfus was like, I think it was her. I think it was Carol. She was like almost started crying at the beginning because she was like, Carol, you just have no idea what a like huge impact you've had on me and everyone. It's so beautiful. Oh my God.
That's so awesome.
Anyways. Sorry, this was about Brad Hall, but Julie Louis-Dreyfus is one of our faves. So.
Sorry, Brad. You love her, so you get it.
Yeah, you get it. I can't. I'm honestly kind of surprised that she never was on Parks for anything. I wonder if she was doing, like working during that time. I'm sure she was, but because she had the show in the 2000s with the Old Adventures of New Christine, or New Adventures of Old Christine, something like that. And it was a really good show. My mom and I watched it. So, anyways, but Brad Hall, thank you for your service. Okay, I have this as a note, and then we'll get back to talking about the park. I don't know. I have this like thing in my head, which I think is so wrong, but like, I don't know why. I had this in my head that Reston St. James kind of reminds me of Ted Danson in The Good Place.
I literally have that note,
have
Holly.
That too?
Yes.
And I was like, are they testing him so that he can be cast in The Good Place as Ted Danson's character? Because they do that a lot. I remember Scrubs did that with Courtney Cox before they did Cougar Town. Courtney Cox came on, and then they were like, oh, this works. And so I was like,
we watched Cougar Town together.
Yeah.
With our wine.
Oh my God, great show. Yeah, and I was like, are they testing him out to see if he would be for this role? And now I could see that and I looked it up, but I didn't really like deep dive it. I'm sure I could, but I just wonder because like if you have Ted Danson, I feel like and Ted Danson agrees. It's like, okay, we'll just go with you. So I wonder which came first. Like, I don't know. Because wait, when did The Good Place happen again? Like, when,
it was
what year was that?
2012, maybe? Hold on.
Was it? Oh, this says 2016. Is that when it's? Oh, yeah,
oh my
that's when it
gosh.
started, 2016.
Yeah, okay.
So that was like well after
4 years,
where we're at right now.
Yeah.
So maybe not. But he totally just, I don't know, I had it in my head
Yeah, he
of
looks
like,
so
are they
much like
testing him out?
When I think of Ted Danson, Brad Hall's face also comes to my head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Totally. So
yeah.
I could totally see him. I'm wondering why they didn't put him in The Good Place, honestly, just because of like, I don't know. Whatever. I'm sure there's so many moving parts with that regard. But anyway, I'm glad that you agree.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, his glasses and everything.
Yeah, it's
you know
the whole
saying?
look. Yeah.
Yeah. And his whole energy, his whole vibe.
Yeah.
And we're basically in The Good Place here, like at the Eagleton
right?
Park, you know? Yeah. And anyway, and Leslie, I feel like, is being Kristen Bell's character and being like, okay, bitch, what is the secret here?
Yeah.
You know? So, but like you said, going back to the park, okay, sorry, everyone, but not really. The park, like you said, it does look like this royal garden or something, you know? Like people have parasols and there's like there's like redcoats people riding horses, and there's that beautiful like lake with the lily pads and the Chinese structure or Asian looking structure that looks so peaceful.
Chinese pavilion. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so beautiful. And
the pond with the lily pads, the perfect lily pads.
The perfect lily pads, the segways. Oh my God.
The segways. I know. Do you know where this was filmed? Because this is my question for you. Because
yes, it was filmed. I got a really nice, spoiler alert, I got a really lovely email from one of the guys who picks up actually the only guy who picks up the trash that Leslie throws down. And he told me that this was in Huntington Gardens in Los Angeles.
Okay.
So this is a real place, you guys, if you guys want to go visit.
Okay, so I need to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
100%. It's so beautiful. I'm sure they added some stuff, but I don't think they added much. I got to say that. So, yeah, and it is really, like, it's really sad. Like, as much as the rivalry is, like, a thing, it's, you know, whatever. It's really sad that Leslie's being very rude and inconsiderate, like, saying it's a dump and she's underwhelmed. And I was just like, Leslie, come on. Come on. Come on.
Yeah, she's letting her, like, kid show a little bit,
Yeah.
like not being
But-
very professional. You think
Right.
about where she wants to go in her career, and like it doesn't matter where this person's from. Like this is not how you treat other people.
Yeah, and I think you're right about that as far as the professionalism goes, because I mean, there are some things, and there were some deleted scenes that what they said about what Eagletons did to Pawneeans, and I'm glad they cut it because some of it was like so mean, and I was like, I see why Leslie hates this. This is a warranted, and especially when you see these people later on like fuck up the shit with the park and like who Reston did not hire or fired or whatever. Like you see, this is a warranted grudge, I feel personally. However, I would wait until I got out of Reston's probably line of sight. I mean, I probably would be sassy. Come on. Like, we all know who I am. But I wouldn't say, like, oh, this is a dump. Just straight out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, this is Leslie, like you said, and she is just not into it.
Yeah, and I think there's a generalization here, right? Like, she's treating him as if he's every other Eagletonian.
Yeah.
And he,
True.
just like there are going to be some Pawneeans that fit the what Eagleton sees Pawnee to be.
Right.
There are gonna be people who don't fit it, and I think he's one of those people that don't fit what she sees Eagleton to be. But she's not even giving him a chance to show her that.
Right, 100%. And she does have the like beautiful park like drawings that she could kind of look back on and be like, okay, well, he did send us this, But anyway, okay, so moving on to the guy who plays the trash picker-upper. So Leslie basically says, like, there's no trash cans. Like, what the F am I supposed to do? Just, like, litter, basically? And this guy comes up and says, thanks for the trash. It's so funny.
Love it.
So the actor who plays that, his name is Tyler Cook. He's been in quite a few things. He's been in Shameless, Modern Family, Land of Leopold. He's done a lot of things. It looks like his hair is, like, so much longer. Or no, wait, this isn't the guy that I got the email from. I'm so sorry. But still, it still is worth mentioning though who he is, obviously. But yeah, Shameless, Modern Family, Land of Leopold. He's done a ton of things. Like I said, his hair looks a little bit longer than in IMDb, so it's kind of confusing for me to see who he was. I did reach out to his people, and I think he might send us something, but I'm not quite sure yet, so we'll see. But there was a little bit of a deleted scene actually here with his character, and I just wanted to play that because I love full scenes.
Yes.
Hello. Can I offer you a complimentary chocolate or an Evian spray?
Ugh, no.
I'll take a spray. Oh, that's terrible. Bye. Well, come on, I'll take you guys.
It's just really funny to me too because oh my gosh, there's so many things, like so many thoughts I had. Number one, I forgot about the music playing in the background. How fancy is that? Okay.
So fancy.
Yeah. Number two, the fact that Leslie turns down candy, chocolate.
Red flag.
Oh, she's really in a mood.
Yeah.
Okay. Something's going on. And then the other part is like a spray of Evian. That is just so freaking funny to me and so beautiful and well written. Like, oh my God. It's just so hilarious.
It reminds me of the bar that Tom takes everybody to for the bachelor party.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, totally.
Can I chisel your aromasphere?
This is the wrong way to drink alcohol.
Yeah.
That's so true. And that's coming up, I think.
It is. I'm so excited.
Episodes.
I love that
That's gonna
episode
be
so much.
Fun. All right. Well, so that was Tyler Cook. Thank you. That was really funny. I just love his energy too. He's just like, thanks. Okay, bye. It's just amazing. Ben is so entranced by him and it's by Reston and is so into it. 5 mile grounds. But I like to call it wide smiles
abound.
Because of all the smiles.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Oh,
and then this is when they're riding the segways, and there is a deleted scene here. It's so funny. It's like, do you remember when at the gas station when people they had that little like tray of pennies, and it was like take a penny, leave a penny, like for change and stuff.
Yeah.
They have that for the segways. Take a segway, leave a segway. And they have and Reston says we might have to get rid of this because people keep leaving segways. They're just so generous. And
oh my gosh.
Like, oh my.
Oh my gosh. Yikes.
Then we get this amazing like sight gag, if you will, of the Eagleton side of Pawnee. Those signs leaving and entering Pawnee is so good.
Yeah. I think it's kind of obvious in the cut that those are filmed in two different places. But I think that adds to the
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it adds to the juxtaposition between the two.
Yeah, it totally adds to the joke. Also Phoebe has been meowing this
I
whole
hear
time, so
her.
I'm sure
Hi,
you'll hear her.
Phoebe.
Phoebe.
I love you,
Anyways.
Phoebe.
Crazy cat. Anyways, and now she's like on the table, so she's probably closer to the mic. But
Yeah.
Phoebe, can you please get
She
out
has
of here?
things to
Thank you, love
say.
you.
Mom.
Mom. Yeah, I think that's really funny that they're both so different, and because it's literally right next to each other. Obviously, it's not
Yeah.
going to be that much of a difference. I will say though, on my way, it's really funny. It's obviously not as wild, but when I drive to St. Louis to visit my sister, you pass through Kentucky.
Mhm.
And you can totally tell that the roads change. Like I think that at least that portion of Kentucky is just like very concrete, not like very bumpy, and it's just really funny like how different it changes.
Yeah.
Like immediate too. But obviously like the land around it is still the same, not like this Pawnee moment. But
Right, where it's like lush and then all of a sudden
right, trash.
Yeah, trash.
Yeah, I love that. So, what does it say? Eagleton side says "Welcome to Pawnee," and then and then it's like "Good luck with that."
Yeah.
Eagleton side says, "What does it say?" It says something. What does the first one say? I forgot. But basically, when you're leaving Eagleton and going to Pawnee, it says "Welcome to Pawnee." Like, good luck with that.
Yeah.
And then when you're leaving, I think it says like "We'll miss you" or "Come back soon" or something
Mhm.
like that.
The
it's just really
the standard.
Right, exactly. Okay. Now moving on to Andy's job, if you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. Well, we're following up on Chris's job offer to Andy for being a security guard for City Hall on the weekends. Andy's really cute in his little uniform, and he's super
Mhm.
bored, and he's asking April to come down and keep him company. I love that Andy has never really had existential thoughts. Like, he's so flabbergasted by these thoughts of, like, what am I doing here? What's our purpose in
Right.
life? And he's never really had those thoughts before. It's just really, that's a good writing for him.
Yeah,
Andy.
it is. And I think you put his life in scope. It's like, yeah, he probably hasn't ever just sat there and thought about things. He's probably
Yeah.
just always filled his time with something.
Yep.
you know?
Totally.
So
Um,
love that she's like, I will come and keep you company as long as I can break something.
yeah.
And he's
Of
so
course.
the delivery of of course, baby, anything, you know that.
Yeah, I know.
is so
it's so
good.
romantic.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yep. And then, well, April gets down there and she has this idea for the Burt Macklin fantasy game thing because it
Mhm.
is kind of boring and they're trying to figure out a way to make it more exciting. And that's really cute and precious for their relationship, I feel.
I think she's a great wife in this episode. I think
Mhm.
you see how she is his person in this episode.
Yeah, and their friendship too. you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Now we're back at the park. This is where they're showing the lovely, perfect lily pads, croquet. Forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Reston explains he really wants things to be immaculate, and it is wild to think about how this is just literally on the other side of Pawnee.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right? Yeah.
I
Wonder how they'd respond if like Pawnee people just started showing up.
I know,
you know?
honestly. They'd
You know what
never,
I
though.
didn't see though? Are playgrounds.
Like kid friendly
Yeah.
stuff. Interesting. Good
Which
call.
I think she'll have in her
Yeah,
park.
I
I
think
would
so.
hope.
Yeah.
So
I love that they're talking about the sewer smell and that it'll linger for another 40 years. And Leslie's like, whatever, it's fine. Like, well, it's
Yeah.
totally fixed.
it's totally fixed. Yeah.
Ugh.
It's fine.
And then Leslie kind of comes to her breaking point. Oh, sorry. Were you about to say something?
Oh no, it was a off the cuff of what that reminded me of. The 40
What?
year thing is like the Chernobyl, like there will be radiation in the
Oh.
air for 40 years, but it's fine.
Yeah, it's good. We're good.
Yeah,
It's
we're
fine.
fine.
Yeah, so this is where Leslie kind of has a breaking point. She's finally over it. And to be honest, I mean, like I said, I'd be kind of questioning this too. But I don't think she needs to be as rude as she is, like I already said. But the question is valid. Like, why is this Eagleton dude here? Why is he so supportive of a Pawnee Park? Like, it doesn't super compute with everything we've been shown and taught and all these things.
I think her concerns are valid.
Yeah. And it's just like, you know, I feel like she's just trying to dig a little deeper. And he, you know, explains like he really heard the plea. He took it to heart. It spoke to him. And he says exactly what Leslie would have said, which Ben points out a little bit later. But, you know, it's about the parks are about the people. We're here to serve the people. And obviously Leslie is so blinded by her hatred and rivalry and all, and her grudge and stuff. But I'm really glad that they wrote that Ben points out that he is saying exactly what she says when she talks about parks and the people and all that stuff, you know, and being a servant kind of thing.
Yeah, I love how Ben challenges her this whole episode. You know, he's still supportive of her, but he's seeing where she's being illogical, and he really steps up and kind of makes her think about it differently and whatnot, even though he has a little bit of a crush on Rustin.
I know, that crush is so funny. And then this is when she says that Pawnee claimed that they needed help, and Eagleton claimed that they weren't home. A whole town claimed they weren't home. Awful.
Yeah, that is awful.
Sad.
Yeah.
And then this is one of my favorite parts of the whole episode, where the balloon artist gives them balloons that look like them. It's so cute. I think they look so great.
Cute. That's what I have too. Is like those balloons are so cute. They did such a good job.
I know.
And she just destroys it.
I know. She just throws them in the lake.
I know.
Which,
Ben
like,
wanted to keep those for their house.
I know. Well, I was gonna say, in any other instance, Leslie would have kept them too.
Oh yeah,
you know,
absolutely. She'd be obsessed with them.
They look so cool, though. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're moving on to Rent a Swag, and Tom is genuinely complimenting them, you know, saying they're doing a really good job. And I love that Anne is kind of like, wait, what? This is weird. You know what I mean? Like,
but he's learning again, right? He read the book. He read Leo Iococo's book, and he's like, all right, I'm going to.
Yeah. Tom's reading?
Yeah.
What? About leadership? Crazy. I love that with the Tom growth. Side note, if anyone doesn't know, Leo Iacocca is that autobiography. He is the president of Ford, in case anyone was wondering. I heard / read, maybe this was another IMDb thing, that I'm pretty positive BJ Novak's dad helped author that autobiography.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because his dad was a writer, which I knew, but I didn't know the extent of that. So, and for those of you not familiar, BJ Novak, Office writer / what's his ass, Ryan
Howard.
Office.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty
Very
amazing.
Cool.
And then DJ Roomba's back. I love that.
DJ with the Hi-Ho song.
Yeah.
Which just would make me feel like he has this moment where he's like, you guys are doing so great. I'm learning to be a leader. And then makes you feel like a dwarf.
Right. And then this is where, you know, Tom kind of puts it into words that what we've been seeing is that this has to be the opposite of Entertainment 720. Yeah. Like, he's really fighting for this because he feels like he has nothing else. You know what I'm saying? So
except really his looks, Holly. He could pimp himself out to.
He's got to remember
to older women. He's got to remember that. Yeah, he has a backup plan.
Oh my god. All right. Well, now Leslie, this is bringing back our murals, which we love. We haven't talked about murals in a while, except for the sunflower mural, obviously. But she is showing a mural of how Pawnee was started because settlers came and the richer of the two groups went up the hill, took all the money to form Eagleton. But they did talk about, and I just love that. It's so funny. Those like the clear split in where Pawnee was in Eagleton, you know what I mean? And how everybody's dressed and all this stuff. But I do love that they point out, and Reston points out, you know, I have ancestors on both sides.
Yep.
And this rivalry is stupid for that reason. Like, we're all from the same place, basically, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And oh my God, I was shocked because I was like, Ben, how dare you bring that up, that she was born in Eagleton? Okay. Maybe say that to Reston behind Leslie's back. Don't say
Yeah.
in front of her.
In my head, he's trying to gain some brownie points with
Mm-hmm.
Reston, and he's trying to put them on a level playing field. But you know how Leslie feels about that. I mean, it shows in her response. How dare you blame me for the sins of my mother? It's just so aggressive.
Ben.
But yeah, it was just not a great call on Ben's part to bring that up.
Yeah.
I see
and
where he's
then-
coming from, but
Oh, yeah.
read the room, bro.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Well, and because of her little outburst, this has been kind of the breaking point, I think, for Reston now, where he's like, look, I'm really trying, but I don't know if this is a good idea because we are just not vibing at this moment. And I don't know if this is going to work. And then Leslie becomes super hypocritical. I love that Ben points that out
Yeah.
because she's like, say what you will about Pawneeans, but we never give up. And Ben is like, we literally have a mural called The Pawnee's Many Surrenders. So brilliant.
That is so good.
Oh,
And I'm okay with him
listening
bringing
to
that
me.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh,
my
see,
God, I
listen to
love
me
that.
now. Great.
Right, exactly. Oh my God,
They sound like an actual bickering married couple in this episode.
100%.
In a couple moments. It's great.
Oh my God. And I did want to bring up a deleted scene here. Actually, I wasn't really super sure where to put it, but they do take Reston on kind of a tour of Pawnee to kind of show him, like, the nature of Pawnee and not nature like trees, but nature.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that too, but like the status of where Pawnee's like big events happened. For example, we're showing him the bread factory, which I love. They're bringing up so many different things that we talked about in previous episodes. But basically, they show the site of where that bread factory burning down happened, and there is like a little memorial to it. But it's like it looks like a gravestone, but it's like also burnt down, kind of. And Reston, it's really funny. It's such an improv, like heightened thing that the writers are doing, where the Reston, I think, was like, oh, so the memorial got burned down too. Like, this is, oh, no. He says, this is all that's left of the bread factory. Like, that's so awful. And he's like, no. And Ben is like, no, there was actually another fire, like, right on the memorial area. I was like, oh my God, I love that.
Oh my gosh. More history for us. I love it.
Yes, exactly. But anyway, I kind of like that. I mean, I know why they deleted it, I guess, for timing, but I do like that they're kind of taking Reston around to see, the culture and what he could incorporate into the park and all that stuff. So he was really a little bit more well-versed in what Pawnee is and who the people are,
Yeah.
So, anyways, okay, so now we're back with Andy and April. And we're making the Burt Macklin fantasy come to life. And April is tied up. Andy's interrogating her. Oh my God, April's pretending to be the daughter of Hitler with an accent. And oh my God, it's so wild.
Yeah, it's a lot. Are they?
Yeah.
It looks like they're in Anne's office to me.
Oh, I didn't even think about it. I just assumed they were. I didn't even think about it. I just assumed they were randomly in the Parks Department somewhere.
Yeah.
But they could have been in Anne's office too.
Yeah. I don't know. The only reason I thought they might not be in the actual Parks Department is because that's where Leslie's been hunkered down all day and the lights would have been on.
Oh, fair. Yeah, you're right. That's probably true. Yeah, there's
So-
there's somewhere random in City Hall, I bet.
Yeah.
It could be Anne's office. We haven't done this in a really long time, the favorite line thing, but I really do think my favorite line in this episode is, "Don't you do it, Hitler. Don't you dare fall in love with me." You're too good, Macklin.
The accent. She does such a great job of
It's
making
so
it like
funny.
not spot on, but like good
Right.
enough,
Right.
Ugh.
Right. It's so funny. And then they start kissing and April turns the tables on him and she runs away. It's so fun and cute and weird. And this is like basically kind of reliving the bucket list moments when she's like, tied up with Jerry or whatever, about to be killed. And it's just like so fun that they do these little action moments. It's very cute. All right. Well, now we're back at Rent-A-Swag. And did you have anything before that?
No.
Okay. Chris is asking Ron all of the hardware questions because he's taking woodworking lessons with Ron. And this, to me, you probably may have noticed this too, a little foreshadowing into when Chris is asking Ron all the parenting building stuff.
I honestly sometimes get this confused with that.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, because it's like the same.
Yeah, he looks for a metaphor and everything, right? When in the parenting part. And so here I always like forget like, oh, he's not asking for like advice on anything. He's just trying to learn. And I think it's so wonderful. I think, first of all, obviously that's good therapist advice that you shouldn't rely only on working out. You know, you
Mhm.
should have other things to do. And I think that's good because what happens
Have
if you
other
break your
hobbies,
foot?
yeah. Right.
Like you got to have another like outlet, right?
Right.
So, yeah, so I loved that. And I love that Ron obviously has taken the time to do it for him.
Yeah.
And I know it's something that Ron loves, but Ron typically loves to do the things he loves by himself.
Right.
So I think it's really sweet that Ron is
I do
helping
too.
him.
And I think it's nice to see that balance too, because there is a balance of him being annoyed, Ron being annoyed, but like he's still teaching him in the same way.
Yeah.
And then I think at this point he's just like, okay, just go off and do something.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny. He's so proud of himself. It's a staircase that leads nowhere.
Yes, exactly. It's so good. I love it.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking too, oh my gosh, can I just say, I feel like it is so nice that everybody decided to help and pitch in. Like, I don't have any coworkers right now anyways. Maybe my last job, maybe I would, but I don't know if even then I would, or if they'd even ask. But, you know, it's wild to have your coworkers come and give up a Saturday to help you with your business venture.
That's why in the summary, I used the word donate.
Oh,
They
yeah.
donated their time, right? But I do
Yeah.
think they're friends too, outside of work. But it's just, they didn't have to do this.
Right.
You know, the fact that any of them showed up is really, really, really cool.
Yeah. And I actually do have a deleted scene. It kind of busts that bubble a little bit, but which is I think why I'm glad that they cut it. But he passes out like a little booklet of like the mission statement and all these things, and he has $100 to each of them for helping him. And that would have been like so much like that, like nice to see, like, oh, he budgeted that part in, and that's why he doesn't have as much money. Like he's really trying to get their work paid for, kind of, basically. But I do like that they cut that, because then with the pizza party, quote unquote pizza moment, like it makes more sense, I think, without that. And it is a little nicer because, and it heightens the anger of like, I just gave up my whole Saturday and I get basically half a slice of pizza, like
with no toppings. Cheese is a topping.
Cheese is a topping, Jerry.
It's not the topping I want, Tom.
Oh my God. All right. Well, back with Ben and Leslie. Ben is trying to point out that Reston and Leslie are alike, like we talked about. They have a lot of similarities, and they talk about Parks and being, you know, a civil servant very similarly. And he asks, like, who he sounds like, right? And then she says, Idi Amin or Lord Voldemort. Did you look up who Idi Amin is?
No.
It's so bad.
Uh-oh.
And it's really like so dramatic, and Leslie shouldn't have said it. That's why they put Lord Voldemort in there.
To
100%.
soften the blow?
Yes.
That's why I didn't look it up,
comedy.
because I was just like, oh, okay, it's probably just another villain like Voldemort.
Idi Amin is a dictator from Uganda, and he's considered one of the most brutal leaders in history. It's believed that 300,000 people were either killed or tortured during his presidency.
Oh,
and
my
he was
gosh.
one of the worst torturers in our time.
Oh, yeah, they should have taken that out. That feels
And
icky.
most people don't know who that is. I feel maybe he was like more prominent, I think, during this, when this was aired. But I was like, Leslie, that's fucked up.
That's really
some fucked
far.
up shit. So I was like, oh my God. And it's Idi, not that it really matters, but the way she pronounced it, I was like, who the fuck? And then Amin is the last name. But I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
So that's why they said Lord Voldemort. Okay?
That's
okay.
rough.
Whew. We got Hitler and Idi Amin in here, but Hitler's lessened because Andy and April are saying it. You know what I mean? Like, they don't even know what the fuck they're talking about, really.
Right.
So, anyways, speaking of which, after Ben says that she needs to apologize to Reston, Andy runs in and asks if they've seen Hitler.
Yeah. Which, Leslie's face, that she's not even surprised. She's just like, oh, that's Andy.
Like, what?
And Reston is like, what is happening? What?
Oh my God. And and right before that, but also just in general during this time, Ben is kind of making a valid point of like, do you want the park or not? If you don't want the park, then okay, we can say goodbye to it forever.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want the park, this is the option. So what are you going to do? Because we also don't have much time, like we talked about,
Mm-hmm.
And I think finally we get to that point where Leslie's like, okay, fine. And then this is where our little run of the apology comes in after Ben says that, okay, we'd love for you to design the park, but Leslie has something she wants to say to you. And I love this because, and love this meaning, like, I'm pretty positive I've done this before. Like, maybe, I don't know if it's been in public or in front of people, but I'm like, when I'm feeling nervous or anxious or something, it's totally a different thing. But I'm like, they're a human being. You're a human being. We're good.
Yeah.
We're on the same level.
Yep.
You can do it, and I can do it.
Yep.
Oh, my God. And she just cannot get the words out of sorry.
Yeah.
She can say apologize, but she can't say I'm sorry.
Yep.
Which I think is a very distinct thing.
Yep. I agree. It's
and
crazy.
Then she's drinking Canada Dry. Drink Canada Dry if your mouth is dry. Which, do you remember we did a whole deep dive on ginger ale back in the day?
Yeah.
And Canada Dry was not the one that they used. They used Verner's because it was in the vending machine. So I think that's really interesting. But we'll see. Verner's actually
works
comes
for the
back
Joe
later in
Collie.
this episode. Yeah, you're right. It does. But Verner's comes back in this episode, which we'll talk about in a moment.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Anyway, yeah, drink Canada Dry when your mouth is dry. That's really funny.
Yeah. This is insane to me. Like,
it's so insane that she can't do it.
it's like a kid.
Yeah. Yeah. And Ben is like, oh my God.
Yeah. And I love that
And then
that
that
sparks
kinda
it. She's
sparks
like,
her into
yeah,
it.
you're right. You're right. Okay. I'm sorry. And then what's crazy is like Leslie has never been, it's not part of her personality to have difficulty saying sorry. You know, like she's said it before. She'll say it again. It's the fact that it's an Eagletonian and it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they did this intentionally, but the way that I saw it too was when he says, oh my God, she almost says I'm sorry to him.
Yeah.
And then transfers it over to Reston.
Yep.
I feel like
I think that's what sparked it.
Yeah, I feel like she couldn't say it to Reston completely. It had to be like half and half. I'm sorry to Ben and
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. Well, she finally gets it out. Reston tries to hug her, and I agree, it is too soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he says he'll design the park for free. He'll do it pro bono, just like for charity. And it's really lovely. And then Ben, oh my God, Ben, he's so in love with him. And come to our wedding. We haven't planned it yet, but, save the date.
Yeah. Which, maybe a month into planning, they could, be like, oh, we spend a lot of time with him. It makes sense to invite him. But like right now, you just look desperate, Ben.
This is just the Ben crush coming out. Oh my God.
Hard Ben crush, yeah.
And then April was in the office all along, and then we hear the scream of Andy finding her. It's just so funny. Oh my God.
Ugh.
It is a very like regressing moment, I think, for a lot of characters in this episode.
Yeah.
Well, I say regressing, but actually Andy and April are already there, kind of, so it's fine.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're back at Rent a Swag, and they've really spruced up the place. It looks so much better from the beginning, but it still doesn't look super, like, inviting. And Anne asks if the paint is really what he wanted, and we find out that it was on sale, which is why he got it. Andy's under budget, so, like, yeah, I'm keeping it kind of vibe.
Yeah, this is the thing, though, that I've learned, and I know this might be a different situation, but I used to buy cheap stuff because I was like, I don't have the money to spend it on the good stuff. And I just kind of learned, and my stepdad kind of pointed out too, is like, you invest in having the good quality, otherwise you're going to spend more money replacing it later. Mm-hmm. So he could have spent like, $30 more and gotten the paint he wanted.
Yeah.
Right? Rather than having to go back and buy the paint he wanted later and wasting the money he spent, Yeah. So, but I get it.
I know. I get it too. I really do. But I mean, everyone's kind of agreeing that it doesn't look super great. It just looks kind of boring, but it looks better. But, that's Tom just doesn't care at this point. He's kind of like, well, it's all that really matters is that I didn't do the same thing that I did for 720. So I'm good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then he brings out pizza to reward everybody, and this is where everybody's like really freaking out. And Verner's is here. The ginger ale is here with the pizza. So we did bring back the ginger ale.
Nice.
But then this is where, oh my God, Jerry is so weirdly mad. Like, you're fucking with his food, okay?
Yeah, this apparently is the snapping point for Terry.
Yes.
Love it.
And I mean, it is sucky. Like after they spent
Yeah.
all day and hard work fixing the place up, and there's not even like a good reward or like a thank you after. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, it feels meh.
it's okay. Yeah. Now we're back to Andy and April, and they find this little kid that's lost, and Andy, for some reason, stupidly, I guess, but whatever, thinks that this is part of the game and freaks this little kid out.
Yeah.
But then April points out, like, nope, bad call.
Yeah.
Like, that's not what we're doing here.
She reins him back in. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they try to help him find his mom. And I love that Andy opens up the broom closet, like supply closet thing, and is like, And I love also like that subtlety of like he says she's probably not in there, as opposed to like, oh, not in there, you know?
Yeah.
It's so funny. I do want to do a little bit of a breakdown on Joey, the kid.
Yeah.
His name is Teo Briones, and I think that's how you would pronounce it. He's been in quite a few things. It seems like a lot, and he's still working. I'm not as familiar because I think a lot of the projects were geared toward his age group, which is younger than us. So, like, I think some Nickelodeon stuff and some more, like, teenagery vibes. But I think that's wonderful, and great job to him.
Yeah.
All right,
That's awesome.
so... Okay, oh my God, this is the awful scene. I hate this. It's so sad and so angry. So awful. People from Reston's office come to show the park that Reston came up with. It's this little model. And it's cute that Ben is sad also that Reston isn't there. Like, all right, I guess we can do it anyway.
So silly.
Yeah. Ugh. I hate it so much.
Yeah.
Because it's a joke. But it's not a joke at all. Like, it's not funny.
No, it
And they
hurts
have-
my heart.
They have drool buckets, food trucks, public showers, and instructions for those that have never showered before.
There's a little swallow.
Yep, there's a little swallow in there. That little model is whatever.
I read somewhere that they think that that's a replica of John Travolta's character in Hairspray, but I don't know if I
Yes.
see it.
I saw that too. I can see it, but I don't think it's. I don't know.
The actual
I
action
didn't really
figure. Like I can see where they get that, but it doesn't look like it was like made from,
Oh.
from the
Yeah,
show.
and I mean, even if it was, like, it's, I don't know, it didn't seem like super relevant, but yeah, whatever. The important part, to be honest, is the little swallow, like you just said.
Yeah.
That they
Yeah.
got that. But I love Leslie's anger / vengeance voice.
Yes, agreed.
She gets really deep and dark and scary. You have 5 seconds to get out of here, or I will rip your throats out. Even
Warranted.
Ben is mad.
Yeah. Good
I
for
love
him.
that Ben gets mad because Ben was like so gung-ho about this whole thing, and he throws it in the trash. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but that thing of him like catching the board because it like pops back out of the trash can, like I bet that was not like meant to happen,
no,
but
I
like
think
he's
that,
saving
yeah.
character so well,
Yeah.
and it just
Just
was
followed
mad about
through. Yeah.
it.
I love it.
Mhm. I also wonder how many boards they made. Like I wonder how many models they made of this. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. How many replicas?
Great
came
job,
through?
props department in this
Yeah,
episode. Hot
seriously.
damn. With the good park and the bad park and the gummy worm shit, like,
Yeah.
damn.
I know they had 3 different ones, right?
Ugh,
I love it. The
so
baby woke up.
awful.
I'm gonna
Oh,
just
okay.
go get him and set him in here with me.
Okay.
Give me 1 second.
Hi, baby. We're almost done.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't really know where we ended, but I did want to just do a little breakdown on these people that were the Eagleton people. So the gal who plays this Eagleton meanie lady is named Jessica Barth, and she's been in a lot of things. She's actually, I know you've seen this movie, but I've never seen Ted. Have you seen
Oh,
that
yeah.
movie?
I
Yeah, she
definitely
was-
recognized her.
Yeah. I think she had blonde hair or something in that one. But she was in Ted 2, Get Smart. She's also oh my gosh, I reached out to her. I hope she reaches out to me. But she's also the founder of this thing called Voices in Action, which is an organization that promotes equity in the entertainment industry. And they mentor survivors of domestic violence and abuse, like in the industry. And they can report incidents privately. They can get legal help. They can also help
Wow.
with like just awareness in general. And I'm going to post a link in the show notes because I think that's really important and so wonderful. I'd love to hear more about it, which is what I asked her, but I don't know if she'll see it. But yeah,
That's awesome. Good for her.
yeah, it's really cool. And then the guy who was in this as the Eagleton Man is played by Brian Fortuna, and he has been in a lot of things as well. He's primarily a dancer from what I saw. He was on Dancing with the Stars, and he was a dancer in The Aviator, and he's been in a couple other things as an actor too. But yeah, they both did a great job of being like super awful and like mean girls, and I hated it.
Yeah, seriously. That was
Ugh.
you know how you get invested in something and then you're like, I am also now emotionally upset. Like that's how I felt. I was so mad.
Yeah, totally. Well, and Ben like is still convinced that Reston didn't do it, and Leslie wants to set Reston's house on fire, and he's like, "We can't do this. We can't do that. You know,
Yeah.
we can't do that."
Yeah,
and she's
that's
like, "Yeah,
not
we
an option."
can't." With like a little winky
the
face.
the face is so perfect.
Right. Okay, so now Andy and April are helping Joey, the little boy, find his mom, and they finally find her. And I'm just wondering, why are they there on a Saturday?
Yeah, what are you doing? Like, what's open? There's got to be nothing open unless she works in the office and, you know, took her kid in with her to where
Yeah.
she had to do something. But what are they? Yeah, I think you have a great point. Why are they even there?
Yeah, I don't know. This mom is played by Barbara King, and she has been in a lot of stuff. Law and Order, Grey's Anatomy, quite a few things, and I couldn't find her contact info, sadly, but they did a great job, and I really liked her look of, like, when Joey says, like, bye, Miss Hitler, or whatever.
Yeah. She's like, what?
Right.
Don't worry about it.
And then go ahead.
I was just
We
gonna
might
say,
be saying the same thing.
Yeah, I love that Andy is so good with this kid. Like once he's not scary, right? And it's so cool to see like that in the beginning because in years to come we'll see him get to work with kids more and more, and so
Totally.
him getting to like us getting to see that this might be a passion of his early on is like
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, and you really see how he will be as a dad, or how he could be as a dad, you know, which is really special. And I love that April points out like this is a lot of like the challenge for both of these couples is kind of like parallels, not challenge, you know what I mean? Like kind of pointing out different perspectives. April says that Burt Macklin actually kind of scared the kid because Andy's like, Burt Macklin solved it and saved the day. And Andy was the one that saved Joey and made them happy.
And this is where I was like, this is April being a good wife, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like she could have kept like playing along with him and she's boosting his confidence. Like you are enough being Andy.
Right.
Like, because this whole time I feel like he's been leaning into this persona of Burt Macklin saying like, I need to be someone better than who I am.
Right.
And that's who Burt Macklin is to him. And April being like, no, like Burt Macklin actually was not the right guy for the job. And Andy is really cool.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I love how serious it kind of gets too. Like, you know, April says like, maybe it's time for Burt Macklin to hang up his shades. If you want to be a cop, like Burt Macklin isn't the one to do it. Andy is, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of lovely.
I love it.
Well, now we're at the Eagleton restaurant, and I don't know if anyone has seen the movie Maid of Honor with Jennifer Lopez and Jane Fonda, but it looks like this restaurant, and I thought that was really interesting. It probably isn't, but it just looked like it because it's like
That's
outside
cool.
in this like really fancy outdoor moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I honestly thought they were back in the park and it was a restaurant in the park. But I could very
I
be
mean,
wrong.
it could be. It honestly could be. Really.
There's just so many trees.
Yeah. Yeah, it really could be. And it's funny because they kind of are covering up all the palm trees that they're showing, like from California. Ben asks, how are there palm trees? And the waiter says, like, Eagleton lies on top of a hot spring. We are truly blessed.
Truly blessed.
I love
And I
that
love
pause
Ben's
before
face.
that. Yes, everything about this interaction is great. Ben's face, the pause before truly blessed, like, oh my God, it's so perfect. This is the actor who sent me an email. It was so
cool.
sweet and so fast, and he gave me such great information. His name is Derek Bainham, I want to say. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Baynham.
That's
And
an
I
Eagleton
wasn't-
last name.
Yeah, totally, actually. Totally. I wasn't as familiar with what his previous projects were, just because, like, I don't think they were in my, like, time of when I was, seeing things. But anyway, he sent an incredible, lovely email. He said he didn't want to send in a voice memo, which was totally fine. He says he's, like, more of a private person, which totally makes sense. But, oh, my gosh, I just have to read it. And it is kind of long, so just listen up. But it's, like, so worth it. And if you want to interrupt me at any point, please do, to ask questions or whatever. But he was super nice. He's like, congrats on your podcast. Looks like a lot of fun. I'd love to share a few key memories from my experience on the show. Okay, so he said he was in the transport van to set with just Adam Scott, Amy Poehler, and Brad Hall. It was so surreal.
Nice.
Can you imagine? I couldn't imagine that. I don't know
No.
how I would have made that.
What a dream! What a
happen.
dream van!
Oh my God.
How do you not say
And
something
I
to screw up your
also-
career? Good for you, bro.
And I also love, like, yeah, I also just love, like, hearing those moments. I feel like we've had quite a few guest stars say that they are in the van with, like, these famous people, and they're like, oh my God, what do I do? You know what I mean? He says, at the time I wasn't really acting anymore, and this part sort of fell in my lap. So the day before I was at work, at this point in my career, I was show running and directing a small short form series for Disney Channel. And then here I was sitting pretty snugged, mind you, with these super recognizable people who are all so nice and just chatting about various child rearing conundrums, which
Wow.
I thought that was really funny. And it was wholesome and very memorable. And then he said that Amy Poehler had such a hands-on approach, or at least she did with my scene, and she actually changed my lines in between each take. She would scribble a bit of nonsense, walk over to me, like a new bit of nonsense, not nonsense in a mean way, but like a new bit of whatever, walk over to me, ask me to read it, and ask me, got it? And then walked away. And then bam, they called action. Each time the line was more intricate, like saying, we have this weather because the salmon actually traveled to mate in a different direction, or
What the
something wild. That
That's
was very hard to
amazing.
remember.
This is great because they weren't even in the scene together.
Mm-mm. Yeah. I mean, she like ends up in the scene after, but not with him. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no interaction on screen with them.
Right.
That's
and then
awesome.
he goes on to say it was terrifying, which, yeah, fair.
I feel that.
But it was so much fun. I kept the piece of script paper she wrote them all on, and I still have it. I love that.
Oh,
I would do. Frame it. Honestly, I would be like so I love hearing this because not every guest star gets that Amy Poehler interaction. You know what I mean? Like, she was a producer, so she had a lot of ideas and she was always pitching things, I think, but not everybody got that, like,
No, that's
vibe.
that's
I
pretty
even
hands-on direction.
Yeah, I even asked Mary Faber, because she had scenes with her, the Pawnee Restaurant Association gal. Like, did you get direction from Amy? Were you guys, like, talking? And she was like, I mean, not really. I didn't get too much. And I was like, oh, okay. Okay, and then this is where he gave me the filming location. He said they filmed in Pasadena. The Pasadena City Hall doubles as the Pawnee City Hall, which we knew.
Right.
Our location was Huntington Gardens. Perfect for Eagleton if you look it up. There was not a restaurant per se where we filmed. They just built all that and filled the place with background.
Wow.
So there wasn't a restaurant in real life. Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah. Wow.
I could see if they maybe had that like patio or something, but yeah, that's wild.
Very cool.
He says, I was not acting really at that time in my life, so it was nuts to all of a sudden be doing essentially structured improv in front of 5 camera crews and easily 50 or so background folks and a big
my
crew.
gosh.
Really neat experience. He says they straightened his hair. That was kind of fun. I love that. I always ask about hair and makeup because I'm always interested to see like what kind of energy they want to put towards a guest star character, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, Eagletonians would have straight hair, I guess. Oh my gosh, this story is really funny. After we wrapped, I was saying goodbye to Adam Scott and made an absolute dingus of myself by telling him a story about the time I saw him do Comedy Bang Bang live at a church in Koreatown. During that
Live
show,
at a church in Koreatown. Okay.
Yeah. If you've ever been to Koreatown in Los Angeles, you will know what he means. During that show, there was a horrific smell in this church, and to make matters worse, there was no air conditioning, so it was hot and stinky. Anyway, I told him this story, and he was like, oh yeah, they found a dead raccoon under the church the next day. Which is so fitting for Pawnee.
Yeah.
But not that they were in Pawnee, but you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Or something like that. So instead of just being like, great working with you, that was fun, I was like, hey, I saw you in a show and it stunk. He was like, I cringe thinking about that to this day.
Oh my
But it sounds like Adam Scott had a good response and nice response, so that's something.
That's I would cry if I said it stunk. And oh gosh.
Okay, a couple more things. Adam, Amy, Brad, and the whole crew were so nice. Such a warm set. It's a rare thing, actually. Not all shows can be incredible vibes, but this one was a well-oiled machine, and I loved the experience. And then he says, a decade or so later, I still get messages about appearing on the show. My friends or colleagues will message me every month or two saying, I was watching Parks and Rec. Did I see you? And he says that that's really fun.
Aw.
And then he says my favorite thing could be that I got a gif of myself out of it, like out of doing the show.
Yeah.
And yeah, the gif is the truly blessed thing. And he's like, thanks for reaching out, all these things. And then I was wondering, because, and he sent all that before I even asked questions. So I was like, oh my God, wow. And so I was like, one of the questions I usually ask people is how you got your job. So like, if you weren't, he's mentioned that he wasn't really doing acting. And I was like, well, what were you working on? Were you show running? I mean, I know he said the Disney Channel thing, but I was like, was that the main thing you were doing? And he said, yes, between 2010 to 2015, he was directing, show running, digital content for things that Funny or Die, which is a website, advertising, things like that. But even at that time, I had not been acting the conventional way. And then he said he played parts in his own shows. But I asked about the audition, and he said, I don't recall auditioning for this, but my mom is a talent agent, which perhaps is a funny backstory. She'll send me breakdowns often and say, you'd be perfect for this. And I always just shrug it off. But I may have gone in for this. I truly am not sure. I didn't even have headshots. So like I said, it was all pretty bizarre. At the time, one of my shows I made on YouTube, I played a casually arrogant advertising executive. And I think my mom actually sent casting some of those links, but I'm not sure. So that could have been how he got it, but that's funny because I feel like a lot of people like remember when they went in, but it was like, honestly, I don't really know. So, but I just loved all that information regardless of, what we learned from the audition. I think that's really great. And I love hearing that Amy Poehler was involved and that Brad Hall was really cool. And yeah, getting a gif of yourself in a TV show is really fun.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Love
what a
that.
life.
Well, thank you, Derek, so much for sending that in. If we have any other questions, I'm sure we'll reach out. But that was like all wonderful. And a handful of guest stars have done that where I don't even ask the questions yet. And they're like, here's everything. And they mostly answer everything that I could have wanted. You know what I mean?
It's so cool. Yeah.
So love that so much. So great. And then he leaves and Reston finally comes over and he's late because he was firing the people that were responsible, and Benton, kind of gets mad at him, but then he understands. I love / am so confounded because I've seen this in real life too, where Ben really overestimates what Leslie's like emotional capacity is for forgiveness. Like, she's actually a really forgiving person.
He sees her for what she can be.
Yeah. And I have seen that in so many of my friends. It's beautiful and it's so lovely and cute. But sometimes they'll say something about who is like their partner, my friend's partner will say something about my friend. And I'm like, I don't. And I'm not saying it's like, it can't be true, but that's not what's typically happened in the past.
Yeah.
But they just love them so much and they see such a potential and they see such a like love that they're like, yeah, they could do that.
Yeah.
They do that. And I'm like, as a friend, it's so interesting to see because like as a friend, you're like, yeah, I know they can do that. And I love them regardless. I don't care that I love them for what they can or cannot do. But Leslie can't forgive people easily.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
No. She might be able to forgive you easily.
Maybe.
I'll read the situation, Ben.
But then again, our point is kind of proven that he's not being super thoughtful about this when she shows up with shaving cream and just like, oh my God, sprays it all over Reston. And Reston is just calmly sitting there like, okay.
He just takes it.
I'll just take this.
Yeah.
And yeah. And then I love this, like, I don't know if this like vengeance thing like turns her on or whatever. She's like doing it in Ben's like name. Like, I love you, Ben.
Yeah. I know, that's so good. In the name of glory.
Oh my God. And I don't know why Ben doesn't stop her sooner. Like, she sprays a tie on and everything. And then finally Ben says something and she just drops everything and runs away because she's like, oh, oops.
It should have been immediate. Comedically, it's funnier that she goes for longer. But in real life, I would have immediately been like, hey, no, he.
Yeah,
okay.
Stop.
Yeah.
Everyone's staring. But I think that makes it better for her.
Yeah.
Anyways, oh yeah, I was gonna say, kind of going back to what you were. I have a note. Kind of going back to what you said earlier. Like that is the worst part, that she's kind of living up to everything that Eagletons think of her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at the same time, they're gonna think that anyway, whether she does it or not. So, oh well.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, right? But like she could, just like Reston's trying to prove to her that he's not like every other Eagletonian. Like it's going to be better for their working relationship if she shows like, I'm also not what you guys think Pawnee is.
Right. That's true. All right. Well, now we're at the Parks Department, and Tom is saying that he's missing $9, and whoever stole it, no big deal, but you will have a lawsuit put against you.
For $9. You know how much it's going to be to pay a lawyer, bro?
Oh my God. And there is a deleted
Which is
scene,
so extra.
which is so, yeah, it is extra. There's a deleted scene where we figure out Jerry actually had the $9 or used the $9, but it's so sweet and so Jerry, because Jerry actually bought Tom a picture frame, like an empty picture frame for Tom to put his first dollar in.
Oh.
And he was like, oh, I probably used the petty cash instead of my own cash, but I'll pay you back immediately. Like he says those words. And Tom flips out and is like, okay, you're banned from the store. I would never invest or I would never put $1 in the frame. I would invest it. Like, oh, it was such a sweet gesture. And so Jerry.
Jerry, that's so sweet. I love that.
But then Anne sees that he's freaking out and suggests they go to lunch. And he's like, fine, you're paying.
Yeah, your idea, you're paying. Yeah.
Right. And they're at JJ's. He orders the pancake breakfast. And then he's basically just trying to order groceries.
Yeah.
8 eggs, uncooked, in a carton.
20 slices of bread in a package.
Right.
8 slices of bacon sealed.
Right. And then I love this. Anne is giving them, this is just the perspective episode. Anne makes this super valid point and says you have to use the parts of you that, you know, that's going to work for this business. Because if you take out every part of yourself, it's just not going to work. You can't have Rent-A-Swag without the swag.
Yeah.
I love that.
I agree. I mean, I think it's when you fail, it's so easy to overcorrect. Right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can't see clearly what the reason was for your failure. And so it's just like, well, I might as well just do everything the complete opposite. But like, I love that. I also love that she is like, I'm not afraid to step up and tell you that you're wrong. Like, this is something you need to keep the swag. Like, yeah. So.
Yeah. And I think that she's probably, and I think that she's being very like, I don't know what the word is, well-rounded, because she's saying like, yeah, that part of you does suck at some points. It made you a bad boyfriend. It failed your first business. I get it. Like, I really do understand. But those parts of you, when you use them for good, can be really worth it in the long run, you know?
Yeah.
And I love this JJ's waiter who's just like over it. Like, so you want a bag of bread and
a carton and of eggs.
Just
the pancake breakfast will be fine, thanks.
Right. His name is Philip Jordan, the actor. He's been in a ton of things. Jane the Virgin, 911, Couples Retreat, a lot of stuff. Thought he did a great job, so shout out to him. And I love that they all chipped in to help Tom spruce up the store. And in exchange, they can get one stock of the store. It's so nice. Yeah. And that's also a good reason why they cut out that he gave them $100. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, I was going to say that earlier when you mentioned the $100. I was like, then that would have been just like, we're giving you the money back that you gave us. You know?
Yeah. And I love when, and I love when Tom is like, smart. That's where we get that smart, Anne. Smart.
Yeah. And I love it too, because I think if they had just given him the money, it could have been, you know, he could have seen it as charity, or, you know, it could have just come across differently. But the fact that she was like, we will take, you know, a share for whatever we give you. Like, that way it's not like we're getting something out of it too, because I think I don't know if Tom would be this way, but some people have the pride to be like, no, like I didn't make it myself, you know?
That's true.
So.
Yeah, that's true. And that's a good point. I mean, I'm glad that Tom accepts it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I also love that he's celebrating by ordering bacon, like a pack of bacon.
Yeah.
Like not a drink or anything, but just a pack of bacon.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is the exciting part. Now we're seeing the actual model of the real Pawnee Commons. Yeah. It is so beautiful, so perfect. Everything Leslie could have dreamt of. These tiny renderings and models of cities and parks is like one of my favorite things, by the way. I love like when museums have them. Like, it's so
very
lovely.
Cool.
And I love that they have, well, for Pawnee specifically, they have the Wamapoke themed playground, food trucks, little Sebastian fountain, all the trees.
That's beautiful.
Everything's so beautiful.
Yeah. Oh,
I
I
love
guess they
it.
do have a playground, huh? It's the Wamapoke playground.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So they do have a playground. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, they do, but it
I
didn't
don't
look
know
like
if-
Eagleton did.
Right.
Although that thing could have been huge. We could have only seen a percentage of it.
Fair. I don't even know if I saw any kids there. Maybe it's, maybe they didn't have kids.
Yeah.
Adult only park.
Yeah.
I also love the detail of them being in front of the sunflower mural. I love that they bring that back for important
Yeah.
moments in the show. It's really special.
I agree. I love that.
And then this is where Reston asks why Ben knows so much about Pawnee, because he points out that Ben's not actually from Pawnee, but it says that he says it's because he's in love with a strange goofball of a woman from this town. And I just think it's so funny that Leslie feels she needs to clarify, it's me. He's in love with me.
Yeah. I think she's so proud of it, right?
Yeah.
That, she's turned Ben into loving Pawnee and that she gets to be loved by Ben. I think she's proud of that too.
Yeah.
And I think it's just so great. And I think it's, I think it opens Reston's eyes to, like there's something about Pawnee that you don't have to be from here to appreciate it.
Yeah. Totally. And Leslie, I feel, can make anyone like Pawnee, I feel,
Mhm. Yeah, her love for it.
Yeah. And there is a deleted scene also where Leslie suggests that they go visit Partridge, actually. She's like, I know so much about your town. Why don't you know, you know so much about my town. Why don't I know anything about yours?
Good job,
and
Leslie.
I thought it would be a really good, I'm just going to play it. I actually did record this one. It's really cute.
I love you. And I know I've been really close-minded about Eagleton and pretty much every town that isn't Pawnee, so I had an idea. I think you and I should go visit your hometown of Partridge, Minnesota. I mean, you know so much about my hometown, I should know just as much about yours.
No, that's all right. People don't even really like me that much in Partridge ever since the whole Icetown thing went down, so...
Too bad we're going. And Partridge is a really interesting place. I've been doing some research. Did you know there are more Finnish natives per capita in Partridge than there are in Manhattan?
Do we really have to go back there?
Yes, grab your keys.
What, right now?
Yes, right now. I already packed for you. Oh, and by the way, we're going to have to stop at the drugstore because you're out of shaving cream.
Oh my gosh, love the
shaving
shaving cream.
note.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's so good. But yeah, I was wondering, after I heard that, I was like, did that deleted scene spark the whole episode of them going to Partridge?
I
Or
wonder.
Did they just want to throw that in?
Because it's
I
a
don't
little
know.
bit in the future, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is when they're like going to Partridge immediately, like right now.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I do feel like that's nice that Leslie did that, because I
Yeah.
do think she has a very valid point. And I mean, to her credit, well, it's not to her credit at all, actually. But Ben doesn't like Partridge anyway, so it kind of works out.
Yeah.
But she does want to show, like, this is a two-way street. Like, I want to know about your life and your previous life as well, you know?
Yeah. I think even if you're not a huge fan of your hometown, there's something there that made you who you are now. And,
Yeah.
it's okay. Like people wanting to know that about you is pretty cool.
Yeah. All right, so now Andy is giving up his Macklin outfit,
Yeah.
turning in everything. It's so cute. I love the quote plaque that April gives him. We wanted to give you this. You were in the FBI. Just written
Yeah,
on a piece
it's so
of
good.
paper.
I love that she makes it a ceremony for him. Like she has the little gun salute thing and everything. It's just really nice.
And she's wearing the hat,
Mhm.
the cop hat. Yeah, and he's just cute. Little Andy is just taking this so seriously. Like his face is just kind of in pain, as you would be if you were retiring or quitting or whatever. Because I bet it does actually, like to Andy, I bet it does mean something. Bert
Oh,
Macklin was a big
absolutely.
part of his life.
Yeah. It's been, I think, like we were talking about a little bit earlier, I think he's drawing confidence from this character, this alter ego he has in him, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so in a way, he's probably like, okay, I'm going to have to figure this out on my own now. Like, I'm going to have to be confident without Bert Macklin.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I also love too. So I don't know if that's the last of him, but I will say we do see the Kip Hackman, the twin brother, whatever the hell. And I want to say, I don't know if Pratt made that up, but in the webisodes we talked about earlier with the DC thing, he talks about Kip Hackman. It's very off the cuff. He says that name though. And he's like, I think he's putting a list of like officers or some, I can't remember how it is, but he's like Burt Macklin, Kip Hackman, Kip Macklin, like all these things. And I was like, what?
That's so funny.
So
yeah, so
I
he
don't
just
know.
off the cuff, and then they probably were like, okay, we're going to create a character like that later.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, yeah,
I'm here
so
for it.
so that's maybe sort of the end of Burt Macklin, but not the end of Andy's alter egos. So
Yeah.
All right.
Definitely
well,
not.
Now we're at the tag. We're back at Rent a Swag, and it looks really, really great.
It
He took everything
does.
from his house. Tom did. He put it there. He basically lives there now, he says, and it really does look so much better as far as like all the furniture and the way that everything is set up. The new paint color, which by the way, who did he get to paint? I wonder.
Yeah.
On a fast
Or
notice.
did he do it himself, or what happened?
I don't know.
I'm glad that they made the comment about him bringing stuff from his own house, because like some of the cabinetry and stuff is so nice. And I'm like, there's no way with the money they gave you were
Right.
able to afford. Furniture is expensive.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
So I'm glad that they pointed that out too. Like, I did use the money you gave me, but also I'm relying on my stuff at home too. So.
Right. And it is. It's like such a nicer, like little loungy area for this like energy of swag, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
Then we learned that Chris's woodworking project was for displaying shoes, and Rana's like, "Yeah, sure, that's what it was."
That's what it was for. No, Tom for sure saw that and was like, oh, I can put shoes on this.
Right. And then we have a pizza party with 2 pizzas and toppings on one half. What a growth moment!
Not Zuckerberg.
Right. And it does just show, you do need friends. You do need a different perspective on life and on certain situations. You can't do everything by yourself, even if you have the great idea. And you can take it or leave it. You can always get these ideas and then not take it, but it is nice to keep an open mind. So I'm glad that it's being shown that the people did keep an open mind with hearing everybody's views.
Yeah, I think it's important that he relied on these people, right? Like, that's probably the part of the problem from Entertainment 720 was that he did a lot by himself with his own thoughts, and he didn't have.
And John
he
Ralphio
didn't
was just
listen-
like,
the
yeah,
one-
sure, whatever.
The one person he had to bounce ideas off of was John Ralphio, which is not a good start. So,
Not cute.
and when he brought Ben in for advice, he didn't even take it, right? So this time he actually is, as we saw in the last episode, he took Ben's advice, and now he's taking everybody else's.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think I love seeing that Tom growth. I think that's
Me too.
really important because if he stayed the way that he was, it's just like there's no way for his character to go. So I love that they did that for him.
I agree.
And we're finally getting to the Pawnee comments.
Yay! I think that Tom has the most growth of any character, and he had the most to grow in.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Especially with like wanting to be a business person and like actually have somewhere to be outside of the parks department. Cause I feel like Ron could grow, but he's getting there with Diane, which we'll see a little bit later. But yeah, they do a really good job of that.
Love it.
Did you have a side that you were on for Leslie and April, by the way? Cause your answer was more of like they could have compromised, but I'm curious if you had a side. If not, it's okay.
I don't know. That's such a good, because I don't want to take, I like, part of me, like, they both were wrong to an extent.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to take, buddy. It's hard for me to take a side, like, because I could say Leslie, but part of me was also like, if, it's your job to keep her engaged and growing. And this is, you're not doing that,
Interesting.
So, but then I don't want to take April's side because she knows how important this is to Leslie.
Right.
And she, yeah.
Right.
And she went to Jam. Okay, so maybe I am on Leslie's side because that felt like a betrayal to me to go to Jam because she knows where Leslie and Jam sit together,
Yeah.
And I don't know how she didn't know she was going to get betrayed by Jam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a little bit more of like just to spite her, I feel.
Right. Yeah.
But okay, well, I was just curious. But Well, that was Pawnee Commons, and next time we will be able to see a little bit more of where we're going with this park. I do wish Brad Hall would come back, but I don't think we see him again, which is
No, we
sad.
don't.
But yeah, so we're getting there with getting the park together, and then we're gonna see Mary Faber again with Paunchburger, which is very annoying. But
she does such a good job of making you hate her.
I know, so frustrating. But anyways, if you guys have anything else that you'd like to say or ask or whatever, please let us know. Thank you to Derek for sending in that amazing email. That was such awesome information.
It's awesome.
Hopefully we get to hear from some other people as well. And don't forget to rate, review, share, all the things. And if you stuck with us this far through the cats and the babies, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Yes. Yes, we do. It's a juggling act.
Yes. But thank you again, and we will talk to you next time. Thanks for listening, everyone. And happy October again. It's happening. Yay. Okay, bye.
There's a park and some pals, and there's also therapy too.